happens? Let's say she wins. Let's say she becomes president. I mean, how would the FBI
Well, you've
deal
already
with
mentioned
that?
one of the consequences, which is I don't know how Loretta Lynch survives this. I mean, I don't know. She's already conflicted herself out of this investigation by the, really stupid political blunder of meeting with former President Bill Clinton, which was a catastrophically and a colossally stupid decision.
She's not stupid. Why would she do that?
Well, I don't know what happened exactly. No one really knows. I mean, we don't know exactly the circumstances that she was confronted with, but that should never have happened.
It was a meeting with, wait. It was the meeting with President Clinton. It was the fact that they did not impanel a grand jury in this investigation in the first place. It's the fact that she let Jim Comey go out in front of the American people when it's her decision to make, to decide whether to indict or not, or whether to charge or not.
Well,
she pressured him.
She completely passed the buck, because really what should have happened, either she can make the decision, or if she's conflicted, it should go to the next in line, which would ordinarily be the Deputy Attorney General. What she effectively did is just stood back and let Director Comey take the heat, and now he's taking the heat.
But also the Department of Justice pressured him. You have to imagine there must have been an incredible amount of pressure around him not to recommend charges at that time. And then in the following months, he's watching all of this. He's watching Hillary Clinton say, well, Jim Comey said I was innocent. Jim Comey said this. That probably enraged him.
And now the Justice Department is trying to shut him up.
Right.
So,
look,
Jim Comey's smart enough to know that he's going to figure out through this whole thing that the one thing that's going to happen is he's going to survive this. Some other people are not going to survive
this. And the root of this seems to be
Washington.
The Clinton Foundation, which Devlin Barrett's reporting in the Wall Street Journal points to. There are 4 field offices investigating the Clinton Foundation, and they went to Justice and said, we want to impanel a grand jury, we want subpoena power, and Justice said no, and they continued to pursue it. This investigation, even without those powers, continued to investigate, and people at Justice are PO'd about it.
Yep.
Does there need to be an independent investigator at this point? It's such a political mess.
Well, there is an independent investigator. That's Jim Comey. The question is whether or not there should be what is the functional equivalent now of an independent counsel, and that would be a regulatory special counsel called for and appointed by the Attorney General of the United States. That's what would happen. Now, if we get to a situation where Hillary Clinton's elected president, this is what's going to be left for the next administration to have to face. Can you imagine what a confirmation hearing is going to be like for the next Attorney General of the United States? And all these questions are going to come up about what are you going to do now with regard to this pending investigation? So this is trouble.
The other thing is that, I mean, Jim Comey knows the seriousness of this, obviously. He's not going to stop the presses and make sure the world knows this is what he's doing unless there is some kind of a smoking gun there. I mean, do you believe that they haven't seen any of these emails, or do you think that there was, I mean...
I don't know about a smoking gun, but I suspect, given the numbers that we're talking about,
650,000,
that there are going to be email that are found in that trove that is part of that hard drive that were not turned over to the Justice Department. And if that's so, that's a problem for somebody.
Problem for Hillary Clinton, you would think.
Well, it's a problem for Abedin. It's a problem for other people. And it's also, there may be some pretty candid discussions that are found on those emails that are going to present some questions for people about what their intent was. Remember, Director Comey said that the problem was, although, he acknowledged that this was extremely careless, his finding was that there wasn't sufficient evidence of criminal intent. And the question is whether or not any of those emails tend to answer that question. Yeah. That would be sufficient to reopen an investigation and make a renewed decision about whether or not somebody should be held to account criminally for what happened.
So, in other words, the intent to hide something about the Clinton Foundation or to hide something about whatever,
right. Well,
Benghazi.
Either obstruction of the investigation based upon decisions whether or not to withhold information,
right,
or also intent at the time. In other words, did you know that the email that you were reviewing contained classified information? If any information on the trove of emails answers that question, that's significant.
Robert Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will see you soon, sir.